Welcome to the February 24th, 2025 Jalen Zones production user call. We have Richard, Jan, Dan, Daniel, Alexei, Simon, Antranig, and myself, Michael. And heads up, the open ZFS leadership call will periodically fall on the slot. I will talk to Alan about that. Everyone have your links handy. There has been some major movement. Thank you, Alexei, who's on the call with Beehive GPU pass-through and CUDA. Check out the recent recordings to learn more about that. And Alexei, while this is more for the ZFS call tomorrow, has been experimenting with high directory count numbers and has a tool to do so. So far, it seems ZFS has kept up. Maybe you can report later on that. Simone had some issues with IPv6 address duplication detection, and Jan kindly chimed in with some suggestions. But Antranig, it sounds like you have right on topic a JL Samba and ZFS question. What you got?
Yeah, you also wanted me to talk about DTrace, I think.
Well, you have a link, if anything. Let's get the link in there because that was a pretty cool Discord session you did, and then I think you blogged about it.
Yes, here's my link. I'll be
Yeah, I'll
pasting
drop
it
that
in the
in.
chat. There you
Let's
go.
discuss some, but we can get to that later if appropriate. Awesome.
Okay. So my question is the following. I have a jail, which is VNet enabled, which has a nested, not nested, which has a jailed ZFS dataset inside. And the jailed dataset is mounted, and that mount point is exported via Samba. Okay, so these are the basic, that's the basic premise. My problem seems to be that no matter what I do, the group is not able to write in there. So the owner is able, and by the way, I'm not talking writing with Samba, I'm just talking like writing even using the shell. No matter what I do, I'm not able to do that. Should I share my screen? Or in this case, the window?
Sure. And is it purely Unix clients, Mac clients, or Windows clients? And if it's Windows clients, how have you set
I
the
want to
skill mode?
connect using Mac and Windows. It's for a film school, so I'm giving them my resources. But the problem is that even on the Unix layer, I'm not able to create new anything. I'll share.
Sure.
I'll just do. I think I should do replace current share. Sure, why not? There we go. Share. Can anyone see it?
Yes.
Okay, so here I am myself. Let's go back to being not myself. Okay, here I am as root. We can see the mount point. It's this one. That's
You're in the
mounted
jail
on.
right now, right?
I am in the jail right now, yes. Host name would be files.filmschool.am. Ironically, the film school doesn't have a domain, so I just bought one for them, apparently, and then I'll just transfer later. And I keep asking, where does all of my money go? So the mystery is solved. Okay, so it goes to user local files. If we go to user local files, here's a README. If we look at the directory, it's set to be write access for Lucy, that's my sister, and film school, that's the group. So if we have a look at Antranig, he is part of film school. Great. So there's no shell enabled, so I'm using the chroot hack. There we go. Now I have become Antranig. And oh, wait a second, I'm not part of film school for some reason. Oh yeah, of course, because I have to do the -G as well, right? I think so. Yeah, I do. -U, and then we also have -G.
Why don't you do an SU dash to your user?
I think I have the shell disabled.
Oh,
I'll just
okay.
enable it then. Yeah, I'll just enable it. PWV, no. VPW, yeah, there we go. Oh, no, sorry, I keep forgetting.
Yeah, PW is enough.
There we go. So let's go to Antranig. I'll just set my shell. Where's the shell? It's the end. I'll just set it to bin sh to Antranig V. I keep getting no directory. What?
What's your home
Is it-
directory?
I don't have one, I think.
ID?
Wait.
Get.
Yeah, I
Can you
don't
run the
have a home
following command?
directory. I can run any command, yes. Get and yes. Get and password on running. There you go. And then
Can you
get
look up the
and
group in both
group.
directions? Because one possible explanation would be that you accidentally set it up incorrectly so that you have more than one group of the same name, or the other way that the UID is used by, or group ID is used by multiple, and then the back reverse lookup isn't unique.
And then if we do 10,000, also unique.
Okay.
Okay.
Just ruling out human user errors.
I'll just do this, and then I'll do charm. Check on B on home. I guess now I should be able to do this. Okay. So now if I go to user local files, which is the ZFS directory, yes, it's a mount point. Now if I do echo hello there. Okay, somehow it worked. That's very interesting. What happens if I connect over macOS right now? Do you think the lack of my home directory would affect Samba in some way?
Yes.
I don't.
It may treat the user as disabled if the home dir doesn't exist.
I see what you mean. Okay, so I will.
Shell, or more likely, if the shell is set to no login.
The shell was set to no login.
Exactly, and if a shell is no login, the user is probably treated as disabled by Samba.
So a question. I mean, I mean, you can certainly have Samba Samba users use the system. I mean, I guess this is specific to the SMB 4.conf, because I mean, all my Samba systems, none of the users actually exist in or have home directories. So what's the special configuration that makes it rely on the home directory?
I don't think that it relied on the mount directory. I've just said it could.
It shouldn't,
okay. But the no login should disable the login.
Right.
Try something like user bin false or something as your shell, and see if that is also triggers.
And here's the core dump. And it just crashed when I connect to it.
Which Samba version are you running?
The latest, 420.
Downgrade to 19. There have been bug reports for 20 right now.
PKG search Samba.
I ran across that a few days ago.
PKG install Samba 419. Sorry. Yes. I hope that was the issue. I was looking forward for 420.
Oh, yeah, there's a again idea. Switch default version and then blocked by
Okay, restarted. Now I'll connect again using my Mac. Oh, okay, it just worked. I can see the files. Let me see if I can paste something inside.
This is very exciting.
Very exciting, right? Like amazing. Just go one version back. What could possibly go wrong? You know? Okay, pasting. I think it's pasting. I think it's pasted. User local files. There we go. Of course, DS store. Of course.
You can veto those files if you really want to.
Yeah,
but Mac users sometimes are attached to their stupid little metadata for things like, I wanted the name to show up in one of these 16 background colors.
So 420 bug apparently, huh? Okay, yeah. I wonder if there's a way to bypass it or something. I am not sure.
I dropped the link to the Bugzilla report on this into the chat.
In the chat. Thank you very much, Jan.
It's
This was
bug
very.
number 284623.
Mhm. And if I want to do like a very, poor man's speed test, what should I do? Just copy a large file there?
Well, you're at a film school, so like AJA test suite or
So I'm gonna put in there the Logic Pro trial.
there you
Pasting.
go.
Okay, it's pasting here. Let's do cstat dash if stat 1, I guess. We're getting at 10, 11 megabytes, so that's 80 megabit over the internet. Not bad, I guess. I mean, yeah, until the school buys their own proper networking equipment, I think I'll be donating my 6 terabyte disk for them. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get really good performance. What is important, especially for the Mac users, is that you would enable VFS fruit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, exploring the directory structure with the Finder is going to be a torture test for your users' patience, just because the Finder behaves stupid.
I see. Okay, that does make sense. Well, I mean, the current method that the students are working is like have a large 3.5-inch disk that also requires a power cable, and attach it or using USB, and then put all the files there without any backup. That's their current model, which is like last time I checked, it was on even USB 2. The converter itself that they had. So I guess from that to this is an update by itself, an upgrade by itself. In an ideal scenario, I would love to build a NAS for them, but it's a free film school. I don't think that anyone can complain that that's their capability. But yeah, I think from there to that, they will see like a very little amount of speed gain. However, they will see a large amount of efficiency gain because now multiple people can work on the same files, which was not a thing like for the last 2 years.
You may also want to explore, if you're willing to put more time into it, to run a mini-IO server for them so that you can have an S3 compatible object store. You can't mount that, but it also means you encourage them to actually use a dedicated client application, which will result in vastly better metadata performance.
I see what you mean.
If you already have that kind of client and you really wanted the bulk transfers to be fast, you can use, strangely enough, Nginx with WebDAV enabled. And things on a Mac, for example, like Transmit, will easily saturate a 10 gig link with that.
Oh, I see. Nice.
For bulk transfers. And because the protocol is HTTP with just a bunch of XML payloads, metadata performance is a lot better because it supports streaming multiple requests and so on. Unlike the existing limitations of SMB, where it's basically it becomes slower and slower with network latency just because it takes so many network round trips to get anything done.
Jan, what's an example S3 client? CyberDuck or something?
CyberDuck, Transmit, Forklift. There's basically
there's a good number of them.
Yeah.
Oh, Forklift, right?
Yeah. I'll stop sharing now. Thank you, Jan. I did not know about the bug. And I spent like half an hour to an hour trying to figure out if I did anything wrong. Yeah. But happy to know that it works on Mac. I'll also ask the students to test on Windows. I guess it's an okay upgrade compared to the sharing a single 2 terabyte disk now that they do. They had no idea what a network storage is, which was astonishing for me because they had like operators who were teaching them how to operate and edit video files. I'm like, are you sure that's the correct teacher? I'm pretty sure someone should have told them about the NAS or something. So,
well, Hollywood is or film industry around the world is a challenge, and often the the person who knows anything about a computer, such as how to turn it on, becomes the sysadmin with global responsibilities. It's a challenging industry.
Yeah, like trying to explain to people that Lucasfilm wasn't only about the CGI, but also the 10 gigabit connection between, around the world to Skywalker Ranch is a whole other story.
So,
I think there's a
did you in
documentary about that.
fact get the panic? Sorry, didn't I?
Yes, I did get the
Oh, you
panic.
did. Okay, well then that's maybe note that in the bug that, hey, I'm seeing this too.
Yes, yeah, I can note that. I don't know if it's the same or not, but I will note it regardless.
They do give a core file name, which might help find it.
Local, no, where is it? Varlog Samba 4. There we go. Correct. Panic. Yep, there's multiple of them in log. Where is this one? Log SMBD. Okay, that's the file, I guess. I'll just add and paste somewhere in the bug report later. Right. Thank you.
On that topic,
Yes.
it's Samba specific. Let me see and based on a conversation last week, Andrew Walker said that FreeBSD is missing. Let's see if he answered what portion of, what was it? No, one sec. So, in the context of Samba, we're missing a few things that are available in Linux. So here we go. The get proc fd path open at 2 is the one that came to mind. And let's see if I don't think he answered how much of that's missing. So yeah, Samba is a hot topic that definitely needs some love. I'll leave it at that.
And Michael, the integration with Windows Server 2016 features, was that in 420 or 419?
I think 19 was Daniel. I think that was the breakthrough in which they brought it up to the domain forest, whatever level, 16, and then suddenly it was a rather solid option, given that
makes sense.
Microsoft itself is pushing to all Azure stuff. It's like, well, wait, I don't care about any of that. I've now got what I want. And
Intune,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that the name is Intune, but you can't do any kind of tuning. But so.
That said, let's see, Anshunig, I don't know how many hours it went, but you had a rather cool session working out DTrace and Python. That was over on Distros.
Yes.
And then you were kind enough, having not recorded that, to do a blog post. So do you have any just takeaways there? Because I know you for this reason, fix it, found this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the first issue was a gmake issue. Like we were using the BSD make. It should have been gmake. Specifically, there's a command line argument that should be passed that wasn't passed. You can go a bit at the top.
Yeah.
There you go. No, that was too much at the top.
No, too much. Oh.
So that was the error. Option requires an argument S.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep. So at the third line of the snippet, you can see that after the S, there should be an argument, but that argument, the dollar smaller than sign at the third line, yes, that's supposed to be converted via make to the path that you pass to it. The path that you pass to the target. Yeah, so that's source dir include py dtrace.d, basically. That's the one that should be passed to that. Anyway, it wasn't. So when you enforce gmake, it works fine. That was the first thing. Not a major issue for me. Couldn't care less. Maybe, we can add that to be persistent. That's number one. The second problem was a bit below, is we got the following error. This was a linking issue. The problem is that this is a GNU Audio Tools problem, which should die, but it doesn't. Basically, you need to add the py-dtrace.o object into the linking process, but it wasn't. The dtrace obgs variable should have been set, but it wasn't, basically. I couldn't figure out, for the love of God, on how to fix it. So that was the next step. And finally, it did not work when LTO was enabled, the link time optimization. It's not very happy with dtrace. So anyway, after all of that, I documented everything. If you go to the comment section of the blog post, and interestingly, the replies came from Mastodon. So now WordPress is part of the Fediverse. A bit below.
I'm going.
Piotr, Oh, sorry. Piotr replied. I gave him the questions, and then he finally made like a temporary repository somewhere in there. Maybe the final reply. No,
No,
Yep,
this-
here you go. That's the link. Yes, where he made a version of what do you call that? A version of the FreeBSD ports. If you click on one commit ahead at the top.
Oh, it's just a generic description. Okay, so
It's just a fork of the repo. Yeah, one commit ahead.
Sorry.
Yes.
No,
So
no,
what
no.
he did is he made a flavor, which is a very lovely thing to see at the, you can see in the make file. The reason why he made a flavor is that you can do Python 3.11 or you can do Python 3.11-dtrace. When you're installing the package. So in that case, it would be with dtrace. It would be it would disable the LTO, and he also patched it manually. You see at the last file, which was a manual patch to the Python. No worries. Yeah, line 8. Yeah, he hard codes the value of Python dtrace-o, dtrace.o, which means then that it will just enforce that value because it's a hard-coded value anyway, because we couldn't figure out how to make it work with GNU Audio tools. That's the overall story of it. Now I'm running it. It's working fine, which got me to the question, one of our core one of our core values is dtrace, and yet we have so many packages that has support for dtrace and they are disabled. PostgreSQL comes to mind. Maybe we should make a lot more flavors of those.
-dtrace. Interesting. Well, quick question. What did you wake up that morning wanting to trace?
That's a good question. So someone wanted to someone was a Python developer who asked in the Discord chat, what can I do for FreeBSD and what can FreeBSD do for me? And I told him what he can do for FreeBSD. And then when we were talking about what FreeBSD can do for him, I'm like, hey, you're a Python dev, full stack. Maybe you want to do tracing on production. He's like, oh, this is very cool. And I was demoing it on my Mac, by the way. And then when I wanted to do it on FreeBSD, I'm like, holy shit, this is not working. So that's how we got into the, like when did it get disabled? And then we enabled it back and fixed all the bugs, or rather figured out all the bugs of what the issue was happening. Of course, the biggest problem was GNU Audio tools anyway. So yeah, and if we're tracing something, I guess we're mostly using it for timing things. That's one of the most impressive things that FreeBSD has. And in case of PostgreSQL and MariaDB, although MariaDB did remove tracing support as far as I remember, it's also very useful. Like you don't want to log every query that PostgreSQL is doing for performance reasons. However, you can see what PostgreSQL is doing using a dtrace hook. So you can see when you want and not see when you don't want without doing any kind of performance hit. So that's kind of a cool thing when it comes to PostgreSQL. And in Python, I mean, it's a programming language. You can literally see anything, like which file is being loaded, which library is being imported. So yeah, I learned that is, by the way, this enabled by default in packages on PHP. Just FYI, if anyone is doing PHP programming, the PHP version, like there's no dtrace flavor, is just enabled by default. So maybe we should have more dtrace options. I think it's also enabled by default on Erlang, by the way. The Erlang runtime package, more specifically. Many other packages as well, but those just at the top of my head.
Tell us what
Node.js had it too, but then Node.js removed dtrace support because they couldn't find anyone who could maintain the code base.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's oftentimes the real issue, that these features were initially written for Solaris, and over time, commercial support interest kind of moved on or disappeared. And now dtrace support doesn't have anyone running the CI for it and responding to quickly detected regressions, because there's no big commercial entity behind that ecosystem. So instead, we get lots of very useful scripts, but no, not enough people who can spend just the time and effort day after day, week after week to keep up with moving ecosystems like Python, Ruby, whatever, Java, and make sure that this really works, that performance is basically the same if disabled, that if you do the normal things, it does not crash, and so on, because it's a dynamic tracing tool. So just having it built in but not used just tells you that it builds, but doesn't tell
Yeah.
you that, for example, it plays nice with the garbage collector and so on.
So in case of Python, for example, it's very nice because they're using the same PyDTrace integration for system tab and eBPF, right? So like even if they're not using dtrace itself, that code base is being tested with Linux folks on system tab, on all the Red Hat and eBPF on Neo Linux distributions, right? MariaDB, for example, they had two separate systems for those, which is why they removed. Of course, the joke was we're thinking about removing the dtrace code. No one is using it, and then the dtrace folks replied saying we're removing MySQL. No one is using those. So
Yeah.
It was just a bad collaboration at the end.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's what happened. Specifically, MySQL removed it. Was this after the MariaDB fork? I think so. Maybe MariaDB still has it. I'm not sure. But I'll check anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Speaking of ports, but now
Yes.
Illumos obviously has a somewhat more native vested interest in dtrace. Is there any policy per se that if a port has dtrace, we very much want to enable it or have a second flavor with it, or what sanity can we bring to this for
There
consistency?
is no consistency. Like just to be clear, in 13.3, the Python package was with dtrace enabled.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming someone added LTO and then they're like, oh, LTO is not working with dtrace, and then they remove dtrace. So I think that dtrace should be a higher priority than LTO, but that's my opinion.
Is LTO used quite frequently, or it's a new
Jan might
incremental
know the answer
feature?
to that. It's if when I hear the word
If I remember
optimization, I want to ignore
correctly,
it.
so if I remember correctly, LTO is enabled by default when supported, which makes sense for big long running applications because you only runtime link them once and then they run a bit quicker. And the big problem is that especially large C++ code pieces depend on link time optimization to more or less get the promise of zero cost abstractions. Otherwise, you have a bunch of overhead for really common operations, and and they will just tell you, yeah, just launch it like that or don't do that. The problem with link time optimization is that some of the applications like Chromium and some are getting so big that it becomes a problem to link time optimize them on 32-bit architectures just because you're running out of address space during the link step. So that you, for example, this is the reason why a bunch of things weren't available on 32-bit ARM, because it by default only had, I think, a 2 GB or 3 GB usable address space. And now it's like 3.5, and now a bunch of stuff works again. And we have a few thousand more packages, but yeah, it's becoming really annoying that just more or less common applications are bloated enough that you can't even compile them on a 32-bit architecture with all the normal build settings in combination with our current compilers and linkers, but yes.
Hmm. And
I think others would have an S in the end because
yeah, say
English.
that. Yep, because English. And Anjanik, you were tracking a DTrace library issue that you bumped into with Occam BSD long ago. Any progress there? You've been tracking it on the calls for like a year.
No, it's not going as because we went back to FreeBSD 9, it's working, FreeBSD 10, it's working, FreeBSD 11, it's working somewhere in 11 and 12. We don't know when, which commit what, it
Goodness.
broke.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were tracking it down, but we never got till the end of it. We should. It seems like an important thing for people who write DTrace scripts, which is like what, 10 people on the planet. So yeah.
Is this about a problem with type equality for
Yes.
types with same name and fields and order of fields?
Yes, everything was being not everything. A lot of things were being redefined, which the DTrace parser didn't like.
Exactly, that's the issue here, and yeah, it may even depend on the order of kernel module loading if you can use certain DTrace scripts, because if you load them in such an order that the types you have duplicate definitions for are already defined. For example, if you load, I think, IPFW and IPFW underscore nut in the right order, it works. If you just do it like you would normally to get the functionality, it gets this placeholder alias type, and then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which, of course, you cannot expect the user to deal with because it should just work. This is a bit of a problem that parts of the toolchain are too pedantic.
Yes. I mean, I don't want to call it pedantic. I want to call it correct. Sorry, I might be too much of a DTrace fan.
It is correct to treat them. Technically, they're compatible types.
Yes.
And so it is correct, but it can also be an accident waiting to happen that, oh, let's say I have a struct string and it's and I decided to make it a char pointer and a size, and the size is with null termination or without. It's just two different places where this type is defined. But the code using it may mean different things to it. So it could be that, yeah, it's an accident. This isn't supposed to be there. But because especially types which aren't exported and so on, like defined in the C's file, not in the header and so on, are visible to DTrace, this can be accidental or intentional. So yeah.
Yeah. Regarding the kernel module loading order, we at least when we're teaching programming with tracing, or rather we're teaching operating systems with tracing, we teach everyone to do KLD load dtrace all, which loads all of the kernel modules for dtrace that's needed. I don't know what the ordering is or how it's defined. I haven't looked to that part, but that's our usual like internal dtrace all as a single word, by the way. So we do this KLD load dtrace all. It loads everything that we need, and we get to work, right? So I don't know if this is the right way or if we should do any kind of different ordering. But when we're doing, operating system via tracing classes to see like how the system is working, that's our usual.
Does that address ordering issues?
I don't know, honestly, but like we're always in a scenario when someone is looking like, and they reply with, oh, some of my probes are missing. Like there's like 10,000 probes that are missing in their system. I'm like, hey, just do KLD load dtrace all. It should load everything. All the probes should be visible, right? So that's how we usually go there. It's your typical, hey, do sudo apt update. Let's see what happens, right? So, but I'll look into that, Jan. Thank you. I totally forgot that the ordering of the kernel modules might have an effect with dtrace. I completely forgot about that one. Yeah. The question: does anyone else here use dtrace on, let's say, month-to-month basis? I mean, you wouldn't use it on the daily.
Lightweight. The show exec v is ridiculously useful. Simple as it is.
Anyone uses dwatch? The Devin Teskeza scripts?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You watch
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
Yeah.
there, I want to
priceless.
see what my scripts are doing.
Okay. The
Simone, is
network
your
problem,
networking worked
Jan,
out?
that we
Oh,
had, sorry, that I called you
mm.
with, that when we were doing if config bridge 0 create, it was setting the IP addresses automatically. Remember, I called you and you were going on the train. Then we debugged it, or rather, we learned how to see what's happening using the DTrace as well. The
Yeah.
background story here is that someone in the call during the Greybeards AMA asked, why is it when I do if config bridge 0 create, it automatically sets an IP, but you didn't configure an IP. And you do if config bridge 1 create, it doesn't set an IP. Turns out they had bridge 0 configured in rcconf, and we're like, is if config calling rcconf somehow? Turns out
Oh,
it
interesting.
wasn't, but
Oh,
devd was. Because devd is like, hey, I see a new interface. The name is bridge 0. I'm going to execute service native bridge, start bridge 0 and see what happens. So devd was calling, well, not rcconf, devd was calling, let me see, PC ether. Yeah, PC ether. Yes.
Which is an historical accident of a name because it was for PC cards, which
goodness.
can be Ethernet cards, and for those there were hot plug events. For
Yeah.
example, to start the DHCP client, when you put in your hot plug of a PC card or PCMCIA card, and yeah.
So anyway, that's also was a very useful thing. And I have no more questions or stories.
You're out of stories? Impossible. Other topics. Simone, did your networking get worked out? Have you had a chance to tinker with it while on the call? And Richard, Alexei,
No,
does that
I
help? Go
haven't been
ahead.
tinkering with it.
Go ahead, Simone.
Didn't you hear me? I didn't tinker with it.
I spoke over you. Sorry about that. Cool. Others. Richard, Alexei, Daniel, number 2. And of course, there have been periodically suggestions of just having a one-off DTrace call, like the mail hosting call. If someone would like to prepare for that and just give sort of a crash course, that would be quite awesome because it's a powerful, underused, and clearly needing to be maintained technology.
Hello, I am back.
Welcome back. Do you have a topic?
I'm currently running the script to create nested directories instead of just not the script, it's a program. To create just a bunch of nested directories instead of directories in a single directory.
Okay. And that's from a C file or what?
Yeah, it's just a C file. It has multi-threading, but okay, nested directories don't seem to be working with multi-threading. So I'm doing a single thread, and it completely obliterates I/O, which is expected. Opening top, just command top, takes about a minute.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, scalability issues are fascinating. And let me see if I posted a script, my little set of scripts I did for the DFS
Do you
conference
keep
long
the
ago.
file descriptors, or are you just running mkdir?
Just mkdir. Everything there that creates files too, but it removes the file descriptors instead it frees them.
Oh, I didn't publish it. One warning as you
I already
do that.
published it on my scripts repository in GitHub.
No, I'm just looking for one I created. So one thing I was trying to do these like shell create with parentheses and stuff, but you can easily blow out the shell doing that. there is
And
shorthand
if you
for
use
multiple directories.
parentheses, you're starting a subshell, which basically can easily turn it into a fork bomb when you're doing this in a loop without collecting the zombies. And if you put more than one command in there, it's also a kind of pipe bomb because you're creating so many file descriptors that you may run the system out of file descriptions.
Oh, that's what it was. Chasing down the Teldeer bug. I had to quickly blast out.
Okay, I cannot sage into the thing. I cannot sage into the virtual machine. It just dies of operation timed out after several minutes. I'm gonna just Control-C right now. It's been like 5 minutes of creating directories.
Sounding a bit like Dan's.
Let's run stat. What do you have here? I'm gonna send a picture because I don't understand this. How do I save it?
If I look at your, is it in the scripts repo? I see old template trash util.
Oh, that's the wrong one. That's a fractal.
Oh.
Yes, I said a 3D fractal. I was just exploring.
And would it be FS bench?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I'll post a link to
yeah,
that.
uploaded as FS bench. Where did it save the screenshot? Okay, yeah, this is the file. Here we go.
Okay, from the chat, let's see. Oh, I see a painted fractal.
Yeah, accidentally sent a 3D fractal here.
Yeah, okay. Is there a usage for your script? Let's see. I guess I can bring it up here. Oh, and I'll drop that chat. So sorry. Anyway,
yeah, the usage
yeah,
is
you can
just
quickly hit
run it,
scalability issues
threads,
with little
and
mundane things like that. Yes, I would say.
it has it if you run it without anything. Yes, the warning here is very necessary.
Don't blow out
do
your
it.
host. Okay.
Yes. You can either run it with just the print things dummy thread, which will just print stuff. Yeah, spawn files, spawn directories, spawn symlinks.
On symlinks, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that would be interesting if we can test it out right now because I only tested it for 1 second.
If you only want to test the scalability limits of the single directory, using hard links or brokens or symlinks to an existing file would probably be better than creating billions of directories, because each of those is then a tiny little new entry, which is a whole different scalability issue.
I'm currently testing symlinks. Just started it.
Cool. And what motivated this? What did you want to test or solve?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just thought of. No, why don't I create a bunch of directories?
Yeah, I like it.
And I had a C book about stuff like multi-threading laying around next to me. So, like, why not read it too at the same time?
It's an opportunity to work on your multi-thread code. That's
because I've never done multi-threading in my life.
Okay, cool.
It was the first time. I still
You
cannot
may discover that it's faster to use a single thread than multiple threads if they are all contending on the same mutex or other kind of lock, because a contested lock is slower than an basically uncontested one, or a contested lock with a single user.
Let me see, ifconfig. Oh, the IP is a bit different now. Yes, trust the host. Should I stream? Should I share the screen?
You can, slightly off topic, more of a
Yeah.
ZFS question. Are you able to join tomorrow?
Yeah.
Let me see.
And I should be able to get my Pixel phone by the Beehive call, so we're going to be running. Also, a bit off topic, but we're going to be trying to run FreeBSD on the Pixel's KVM.
Goodness.
Yeah, because they support KVM apparently.
Wow.
The Google phones.
I found my
Samsung should
directory script.
Some newer Samsungs should do that too because they have the same CPU. Some of them.
I'll just drop it. I found the text I'm looking for. So you will blow your shell with things like this. I thought, oh, I'll just create some directories that way as per the syntax I found, and then it doesn't scale. So there's that. Okay, we are 2 minutes to the hour. Anything else, or shall we call it good? I say save your storage scalability questions for the ZFS call, because having a standard set of, fake data generation plus benchmarks plus you name it are a good thing. Explain what this is, Michael. Load your shell. Boom.
I'm gonna just send here a nice little command that segfaults shell, the FreeBSD.
Oh, interesting. That's in shell itself or in?
Just shell.
Just shell. Okay, let's put that in there.
Start a new shell session and then run this. I think it's an underdeveloped fork bomb. It doesn't fork itself, it just runs itself many times until shell runs out of memory and dies.
Yeah, does it sound like that would cause trouble?
As well, just making single liners.
What is the issue here?
It sounds like he can blow out his shell with a simple A.
No, it's an infinite loop, but depending on if your shell has a tail recursion, yeah.
Oh, segmentation fault, core dump. Yes, indeed. Boom.
So yeah, it will basically run until the stack overflows.
Yeah,
Stack segment limit.
95 megabyte core dump. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, something like that sounds reasonable. It's because it's a single-threaded application. You have the opportunity to grow your stack a lot. It's lazily allocated its backing memory, so you just have a big reservation at the beginning, and then you just recurse until the stack has overflowed. Yeah.
Okay, what should we do with shields right now? Should we try? Oh, yeah, we don't have enough time.
So it's not because to make it into a fork bomb, you would have to start lots and lots of child processes. And to make it an effective one, you probably want exponential growth. So you want each iteration to start 2 fork bombing children.
Okay, off topic. So
each yeah.
Alexei, you mentioned a topic there, a jail topic.
Oh, and you want the children to demonize themselves so that
and
put themselves in
one thing about Linux jails
and so on.
Linux trails? Yes. Ooh, do tell. What you got?
Yeah, I wanted to just make a Linux jail because there's this Arch Linux fork called Artix Linux, and it has a run it in its system. So should we try running it? Yes. That was not a pun, but it appeared to be one.
Yeah, God, nicely. Well played. Well played.
Yeah. In a Linux jail.
How do you spell the name of that distro?
Artix.
AR. Okay.
Yeah. I used it on desktop before. It's very bad on desktop.
Okay.
It has both well, I'm so sleepy. S6. It has run it. It has OpenRC. It has many systems, many init systems at once. It's a mess.
Alrighty.
It's an absolute mess. But we care about run it here right now.
Okay.
Come on. Yes. Yeah. On the same system. Yes.
Simultaneously? Wait, what?
Not simultaneously.
That sounds
once,
messy,
but you can just
yes.
yeah, but you
I
can
mean,
just like
all of
interchange
them,
them.
all of those are well enough designed that they don't have to be in a privileged position to work correctly.
Right.
So that's like a launch D and system D feature that they cannot run unless they are PID1, or they cannot run with full feature set. Yeah, upside I think it could be made to work,
go away?
but as well as it ever worked, that is.
Okay, here is a link to that for those who care. Okay. Their graphics are pretty, I'll grant them that. Quick question as I'm experimenting with GPU pass-through with Alexei. Is there a Linux VM with built-in ZFS support, or do you simply go with like a Ubuntu Live?
Linux like distro built-in ZFS support?
Yeah. Ubuntu seemed to be the one that was closest, yet I don't know if their installer's currently a live ISO or just an install ISO.
There's also
their
a
installer.
Linux.
There's a live ISO. Linux Mint's Ubuntu edition should have ZFS. Oh yeah, it has ZFS. Linux Mint Ubuntu edition. There's also NixOS if you want the lightest one.
Hold on.
800 megabytes.
Distros.
NixOS is its own thing.
It's completely its own thing. You cannot run the normal Linux executables on it. That's a minus. But it's like live installation. The command line one. It's very small and has ZFS.
So Richard, did you jump in with one? Or Zimon? I heard a name suggested another distro.
Yeah, I'm going to download its ISO right now and try to unpack it because they don't provide containers.
Okay. So I heard some answers to that question. Are there some I should have on the list here? Like Ubuntu?
I put it in the chat.
Oh, you did? Thank you so much. Void Linux, that was it. But awesome. Thank you, Zimon.
Oh, wait, Void Linux has ZFS? Out of the box?
Cool.
I thought it did. Maybe I'm wrong about it.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's
can be added.
Yeah, it can be added, and it doesn't have it as a default.
No surprise. Well, cool. We've delved into Linux and VM topics. Maybe we reconvene tomorrow for ZFS. Any last questions, points, ideas? Who would like the honors?
The kid.
Aww.
Like and subscribe.